So, a couple of things before we get into today's video. One, I somehow lost all of the footage up until Stormvale Castle, so that means no Margit and no Dectus halves, but just pretend like you saw those. Thanks. And two, if you enjoy the video, make sure you like and subscribe, because I know it's free, and it helps me out a ton. Thanks. Going into this Godric fight, I was pretty confident. After all, it's just Godric. Easy, right? Yeah, not exactly. So, this is how my first attempt ended. Yeah, pretty rough start. It actually took me a few attempts, I think like 3 or 4, but after this one they were all pretty okay attempts. So after sitting here and listening to Godric's completely unnecessary dialogue, we had finally taken down our first major boss and got our first great rune. After grabbing this first grace here, I realized that I wasn't quite ready for Radahn, so I decided to go grab a few upgrade materials and get ready for the fight. I grabbed a sacred tear here, grabbed a couple of bell bearings, upgraded the seal, grabbed a few more sacred tears, and then finally made my way over to fight Radahn. So yeah, Radahn didn't go so well. Instead of just trying to brute force that, I made my way over to Limgrave to fight Tree Sentinel. Mostly just to make myself feel better after losing so many times. I wasn't quite sure how this fight would go. I had never fought Tree Sentinel with Catch Flame before, but as you can tell, it was fairly simple. I did plenty of damage, and Tree Sentinel's not the toughest boss. The only small issue was just him running away, getting like just out of range. That was kind of annoying, but other than that, it wasn't too bad here. Just had to make sure not to die, because that would be embarrassing. Losing to Tree Sentinel if you come back to him is just unacceptable. If you decide to come back to fight Tree Sentinel, you better win. But I wasn't too worried about that being a problem. The shield attacks are another problem. The hitboxes on those are really weird. I know you can jump them, but like, that's just not my first reaction. I immediately want to roll it, and it never works out. Maybe that's just a skill issue, but I can never dodge those. Other than that though, we just slowly lowered his health. With any actual weapon, this guy would have been done for already, but it's fine. Eventually, we just kind of spammed some more catch flame, as you do, and we took him down. Not too much trouble. So after grabbing those upgrade materials, I finally made my way back over to Radon, thinking that this time would hopefully go much better. Spoiler alert, they didn't, and I'll just let you watch. Yeah, so that was embarrassing. And I actually just decided to leave again and go fight O'Neil. And by fight, I mean just running through these springs until he was no longer with us. But then I did that to progress Millicent's quest, because eventually I'd get a talisman from that that'd be pretty good. I also cheesed the Knight's Cab, as you could see there, for some extra money, and made my way back over to Radon. Hopefully, this time would go better. It couldn't get worse. So yeah, it may not have gotten worse, but it definitely didn't get much better. I thought this attempt was going to be different. He was so low. And then that happened. I was devastated. I was ready to quit right there. Just delete the save and never think about it again. But I couldn't just do that. So, back to Radon we went. So, after many more unsuccessful attempts, we had made it back to phase 2 and things were looking pretty promising. Still had heals, that was a really good attack to start with, and I still had plenty of FP. I'll just let you watch. just like that, our dawn was down. After many, many long hours, we had gotten our second great rune. After this, I made my way over to the Godskin Apostle, which honestly wasn't too difficult. It took a couple of tries, but it was not near as bad as any of the other fights up to this point. After grabbing a few things and making Millicent disappear, I went back to Gallery and grabbed the Flock Talisman, which boosts incants. Just about the only thing that helps me out in this run. After that, I made my way over to a DTS, because he's obviously the next step. This again was not too bad of a fight. It took me a few tries, don't get me wrong, but it was not too bad. DTS is actually a pretty fun fight, except when he starts throwing out some random lightning attacks that just are not fair. But other than that, you know, it's a pretty good fight. This is one of those random lightning attacks I'm talking about. Like, come on, what is that? But, whatever.